right. Well, in this passage that Amelia just read, there is so much. Let's just take a moment and pray. God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be pleasing unto you, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I'm hoping that as you came in, you got some Post-its and something to write with, or some of you brought some. You're going to want those during this time. And if you didn't, you can raise your hand, and I'll bet an usher can bring some over. I don't know how many you need. Maybe you need 3, maybe you need 14. You just kind of share around if you need more as we go. So have those at the ready. Our passage from the Greek Testament today begins with the words, "in the days of King Herod." There is a lot in this passage that we could talk about. There is so much to dig out of here. But today we're going to focus on those words, "in the days of King Herod," because those words are fraught. They are so fraught. You know how you can communicate so much without saying much? Just kind of a key phrase. You just mention a neighborhood and all sorts of assumptions arise. We might say, oh, well, he's from Beverly Hills. Right? You heard so many more things in that phrase. Or, well, she went to Lewis and Clark. See, you heard things that I didn't hear because I don't even know what that means. But I know it means things. Or, well, yeah, she went to Yale. Right? We make all sorts of assumptions. We communicate with some words that have context for us in this age, at this time, in this community. Well, when Luke says, "in the time of King Herod," the listener immediately knows a lot of different things. The listener might immediately feel a chill in the room. They might feel a tightness in their chest, a sense of unease that is hard to shake, because that phrase signified so much. King Herod. King Herod rebuilt the Second Temple and expanded it. It included the Western Wall, which remains today known as the Wailing Wall. He built the port of Caesarea, including an artificial harbor, right? Like way back then, an artificial harbor, an arena. He built a hippodrome in the port of Caesarea for chariot races. These are huge undertakings. He built his palace, which was astounding. Archaeologists say that it was 180,000 square feet. That's, twice the size of the ballrooms some dream of. He built aqueducts. He sponsored the Olympic Games in 12 BC. Herod accomplished amazing things. So all of this might come to mind when the reader or the listener, when this book was written, heard "in the time of Herod." Amazing accomplishments. But so would other things. Certainly, it would come to mind that this was the leader who, fearing without known basis that his favorite wife and 3 of his sons were plotting to overthrow him and or unalive him, he had their lives ended. We'll just set aside all the questions around his favorite wife, but his wife and his own flesh and blood. And they were in good company. They weren't the only ones. Herod knew he was not popular in many ways, but he was determined that his death would be mourned. And so he planned accordingly. He imprisoned important leaders in the hippodrome, and he gave orders that upon his death, those leaders were to be exterminated. Who does that? He knew that people would mourn and wail for them, and that would provide the setting of grief at his passing that he felt he deserved. He was willing to take others' lives so that there would be a sense of mourning. As a side note, this order was not carried out. So when people at the time of this gospel heard in the time of Herod, all of that would come to mind. They were times that were tense. They were times that were unpredictable. They were times lived under a paranoid, narcissistic leader. They were characterized by rampant oppression, economic disparity, uncertainty, and instability. They were times that were terrifying. Well, we find ourselves in uncertain times, right? We find ourselves in uncomfortable times. I'm guessing you wish that we could find a button that would allow us to change so many things, right? You push the button and it makes queer people feel safe and all people have access to health care. You push the button and it ensures that immigrants feel safe and thanked for what is often thankless work. You push the button and it restores balance to our earth. You push the button to bring peace where it's lacking. Push the button to make sure no one is hungry or unstably housed. Oh, for such a button. Well, all these things may be causing you anxiety. And then I want to be open, as we've had an email, that there are transitions in staffing here at church, and maybe that's causing you anxiety. You just want to know that your community is stable. Let's just push the button and have stability right here. Who needs a new preacher? Stability. Even closer to home, maybe you wish that that button would restore family relationships. You could push the button and undo decisions that have led to seemingly unending debt. Push that button to remove addictions. Push that button to restore health. Oh, for such a button. Well, as we enter this Advent season for this week and the next 3 weeks, our journey is going to help us look at our fears. Not to cause them to grow, not because we believe they will magically disappear either, and certainly not to cause despair. No, we're going to look at them because we are a people of hope. We are going to look at them and, in light of the Advent story, seek to move through them. We are going to seek to acknowledge our fears while insisting on hope. We are going to seek to acknowledge our fears while insisting on hope. Can you say it with me? We are going to acknowledge our fears while insisting on hope. Today, I want to do something different than I've ever done before, probably different from anything you've done before, but I actually knew from before I got this job that this would be important for this community. So I've been holding on to this in my head and my heart for a long time, not wondering if I'd be able to walk with you in this. So I invite you to take out the Post-its that you brought or picked up, along with your writing instrument. Hopefully you all have some now. And today we're going to take a step forward in acknowledging our fears or anxieties. I'm going to lead us through numerous categories. You can write whatever you want on these Post-its. You don't need to put your name on them. I'm going to give you some time between each category I name so you can write something. I'm not thinking you're writing an essay, right? You're writing a few words or a phrase or whatever comes to mind. So I'll give you time between the categories, and then you can take more time after service if you want to write some of them. And we're going to do some deep breathing. So first we're going to think about what fears do you hold about our world? Our world. Before you start to write, breathe with me. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Take a moment. What are your fears about our world? Some of you might just be flying through Post-its. Oh, I got fears. Or maybe you put it on one. Next is, what fears do you hold for our nation? Breathe with me. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Fears for our nation. Next one will be, what fears do you hold for our state or our region, our larger area? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. What fears do you hold for our city? That can be the city you live in or the city of Portland. Breathe with me. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. What fears or anxieties do you hold for this Southmin community here at church? Breathe with me. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. What fears or anxieties do you hold for your own family? Deep breath in. I'm not seeing shoulders move, to be honest. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. What fears or anxieties do you hold for yourself, for your own life? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now take a moment and just write down 1, 2, 5 things that you hope for. What do you hope for? Deep breath in, deep breath out. I want to end our time, and you can keep writing. You can keep writing for the rest of service if you want to. I want to end with a quote from the creators of A Sanctified Art, who have written much of the liturgy that we'll use this season. The authors wrote this: "Fear can divide and paralyze us, and even be used as a tool for oppression. But what if we formed a different relationship with fear? Can we acknowledge our fear without letting it rule us? Might we catalyze our fears into love and action? What if naming our fears helps us see more clearly how God is breaking in and where God is at work?" I invite you today to take your Post-it notes, and this is an invitation, not an assignment, okay? I invite you to take your Post-it notes and put them on the back walls in the narthex when you go out. It's not that posting them there will make the things written on them, our fears and anxieties, dissolve, but maybe having written them down and maybe even sharing them, you don't have to hold them quite as tightly. Or maybe, having written them down, they won't hold you quite so tightly. Feel free to put them on that back wall after service, not on the art, or even get up and walk to the back and do that during the rest of service if that feels freeing to you. And we'll just let them be there for a while, reminding ourselves that our fears are less than our hope. Our fears are less than our hope. We are going to acknowledge our fears while insisting on hope. May it be so. Amen.